Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or middle of the night, whenever you're watching this. It's Erica of AriBo Arts, and we're here for Battmaking with AriBo Arts. I have my second mug of tea. It's an Earl Grey. I found Aldi had some Earl Grey on offer. Lots of green tea, but there was like a little black tea in the back corner, and so I snagged it. I just made it so it's a little on the warm side. And so we're hoping we can keep it there without knocking it over, making sure there's actually a surface underneath there. And also not getting fiber in it. So normally I do 2 of these a week. I do one here in the Waffle group. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please ignore this part. I also do one on my Facebook page, usually on Sundays or Mondays, depending on what my schedule is. Originally, I was supposed to be at a show in Wisconsin this past weekend, driving back on Monday, and I was supposed to have left Thursday morning for that show. Wednesday night, I went to run up to the grocery store to get some snacks and food for the trip, and I hit a deer, or deer hit me. You know, you can never tell, right? And so my car is in the shop. I didn't get to go to Wisconsin, and it's unclear if I'm going to get to go to my final in-person show in Des Moines this weekend. I'm looking into some car rentals, but there's some issues. So, so I've been a little out of it this week. And also it's like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like really gray and overcast and cold. So it's not that cold. It's like in the 40s, but yeah. Anyway, so we're doing sort of a Victorian-inspired thing. I think I actually wrote down what I thought I wrote Victorian garden. I've done like a Victorian roses one before, but this is a bundle of, I think it's wool top. It looks very toppy to me. From Brown Sheep Company that I got when I went out to their mill and second shop. This was in the second shop back. There was a period in which they made wool top. They don't do it anymore. And so like I bought up everything they had left because it was a very good price. So this is the base. It's sort of this mauvey pink. Okay. And so it's a very Victorian pink. So I said, well, let's pull out, let's see, I've got some gray bamboo, this is light gray. I have some very pink rose fiber, which also has a lot of white in it. So that will sort of also pick up that lighter color there. But to also give it some darker pops, I have, let's see, a couple of mulberry silks. This is very similar in color to the base. And then this purple. I have this hand-dyed sari silk roving from Full Out Cat. And then I also have a couple other bamboos. The mulberry, I did put hand cream on, but the mulberry silk is just sticking to my fingers. In these 2 greens. So like the kelp is like my favorite, which would have been perfect, but I'm almost out. So I've got this, what they call spring green as well. So I'm just going to sort of open everything up, and then I'll tilt you down in a second and we'll get started. They had to order parts, and surprise, surprise, I'm not the only person in the area that has hit a deer. And so like when I got the van towed, and they were like, yeah, there's like 6 other people ahead of you in line. So I'm like, okay. So we'll see when it gets done. I did look into renting a U-Haul, those like the cargo vans. And my local U-Haul doesn't have it. I'd have to go down to the little cities, like a half an hour away or a little further. But the price because I have to drive. We'd have to drive from where the van was to my place, load it up, drive to Des Moines, set up, drive to my friend's house, which is a half an hour away from there, and then the next morning drive back to the venue, and then the next night drive to my friend's house and drive back, and then I'd have to decide, am I terrified of deer enough that I need to stay yet another night in driving daylight, or could I drive home in the dark on Sunday night? So the mileage was adding up, and at one point I just sort of looked at it and said, I would end up with like a profit of $10 if if I did this because of the mileage. So I'm looking at some other rentals. So my insurance doesn't cover the rentals. So okay, let's tip you down so you can actually see what I'm doing. That would help, wouldn't it? Okay, there we go. There's Sebastian. That's what we're using. And of course, in all this, where I've missed one show, may miss another, and we're coming to the end of the season because I live in the north where there aren't really shows in the winter. I have found a very good deal on a drum carder. Some of you know I also teach classes. I'm mostly been teaching it at small venues, so places where, a class of 5 or 6, right? But this coming year, I'm starting to apply to larger shows, particularly shows where either I can't get in as a vendor, Wisconsin, I'm talking about you, or I've been on the wait list for a long time, or shows where there's a few days beforehand where there's just teaching and then the vending's later, or there's an overlap or something like that. Okay, so that's our wool down. Let's start with this gray. It's called Water Horse. Paradise Fibers. And bamboo is always something I paint on. But look at that. Piece of VM in the wool. Because it is a natural product. Okay, so we're going to sort of soft Victorian colors. Victorians weren't all black, all dressed in black and somber tones. Okay, so got that. Let's deal with the other bamboos first, I think. Anyway, so someone I know she often helps facilitate the sale of fiber arts equipment, and she has a carder for sale in a brand I don't have yet, and so one of the things I think what I'm going to do with the let me see how much this is. I'm going to take like a tiny bit on every layer, just like tiny bit, like that. Because I may have enough to do 2 of these bats, so I want to make sure I've got enough. Because I do like that soft green. That is very nice. Okay. Now, I only have a tiny bit of this. So this is like, I think what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take it, I'm going to divide it in half. Sort of, kind of, maybe. Okay. That half's going to get off my fingers. This half here is going to go lay over here. Probably can't see, you can see that. To wait for the second bat. So I don't pick it up by mistake, right? So we're going to save that for another layer. But we will pick up the purple. Oh, I like that purple there. And then we're going to figure out where we did the rose. Here's the rose. So one of the classes I taught, one of the small classes, is a drum carding class. And so what I want to do is have enough pieces of equipment that I can teach a larger class. Now, and I don't like to put 2 students on one machine, right? Because it takes a while to make a bat, particularly if you're learning, and I want everybody to have their own machine. But instead of going out and buying 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 Sebastians, what I'm trying to do is acquire 1 drum carder from every brand. Now, I've already broken that because I have 2 brothers. Sebastian is a classic, a bit of burgundy, which I'm told is the color of the year. Not officially Pantone, but it's like the fashion color this year is burgundy. So, just using just a little, at least now I might put more on another layer. Okay, and I think that's everything for the first layer. So let me put some more of this off. So I have 2 brothers. I have my baby brother, his name is Squirt. And actually, Sometimes, depending on how many students I have, he doesn't get used as a student carder. He's the one I do the demo on to show people whatever they're doing for that particular task. So this is pretty thick, so I'm just going through and fluffing it out. That way you don't get any bumps in the bat. I'm also sort of going to be excited to see. So when I turn this on, I know I'm rambling all over the place, but that's kind of the day it is. I had 48%, and with the old battery in the phone, 48% would have already been, like, my phone would be dead by now. And I would have had to have it plug in, but we will see how this does. Because doing live video is like the most energy drawing thing you can do on your phone, pretty much. Next to that is watching videos. At the end there, before I got the new battery, I would like I'd open up Instagram, I'd start one video, and the phone would die. Or at least I could read a bunch of Facebook posts with the same amount of energy. Anyway, so I have my baby brother, his name is Squirt. I've got a standard brother, which is their basic, accessible carder. His name is Brother Cadfile. I have a Fancy Kitty, which is a brand out of Missouri. And they have two lines primarily. They have the kitten line and the Big Tom line. Yeah, there's obviously a theme there. And I have a kitten who I think I've decided her name is Molly. Molly is a medieval word for female cat. So, and then I have obviously Sebastian is a classic. And then I have this no-name Canadian-made, except the Canadian-made sticker's already fallen off of it. It's a drum carder with no tray. It's just got like two little wood posts right here before the liquor in. It's very heavy. I mean, these are all pretty heavy, but that one's super heavy. At some point, I should probably think about maybe getting a mechanical one, an electric one, but that's not high on my list. So I would like to acquire, obviously my dream would be to get a Modulcraft, but those don't come up used very often, and a new one is price prohibitive, we will say. And if need be, my guild has a Louette that I could sign out and rent for a show. I have done that at least once to teach with. And so the one I'm looking at is an Ashford. Now, I kind of had my heart set on at some point getting an Ashford wild carder. Or is it a Mad Batter? No, so I think it's a wild card. Which is their smaller little art bat ones. But it's a really good deal on this other Ashford, which is just a basic standard Ashford manual. I do like that little touch of burgundy in it. Now you'll see it's not dyed all the way through. Which gives you these nice little, white pops. And that is so super light that we're going to immediately press it in. And so the idea is to have, at some point, I got to find a Clemens and Clemis that is in good shape. Some of the early Clemens and Clemis ones are rather rough around the edges. It's actually not a carder I find enjoyable to use, but also because I know they teach at a lot of festivals. But of course they teach using their carders. And one of the things I'm trying to sort of create is the opportunity for people to try all sorts of different carders. before they go ahead and buy them. This one I may have fluffed out enough that we could, yeah, we can just do it all the way across. Except for the bits that are sticking. We have our knitting needle for. Oh, I'm very excited. The shawl I was knitting is now off the needles. Fingering weight. I'm not often a fingering weight knitter. It only took me just over a month. So I have to weave in the two ends, and I have this one tiny spot where, as I was knitting, I dropped a stitch. So I'm not sure I actually really dropped a stitch, but I fixed it, but now it looks funny, right? And my guild actually has a master knitter in it, and when we had our guild sale beginning of November, I showed her to her, and she said, you know, I could fix that for you. And I thought about it. I said, yeah, but I want to do it like myself. Like, I want to, you know, it's my first sort of knit shawl, and it's for me. So I didn't have her fix it. But I have like enough, like a yard left. I have enough that I could go back and maybe duplicate stitch over it, or I don't know. I haven't decided. But because it's all garter stitch, you can see that it looks a tiny bit funny there. Oh, and other exciting news. I got a request from someone I used to work with. Just works elsewhere now. And obviously I don't work where I used to work anyways. She coaches Lego leagues. I don't know what this is. We didn't have this when I was in school. Because I think if we had it when I was in school, I would probably have been in it because I was obsessed with Legos. My parents never got us Legos. I wanted Legos so bad. Anyway, so let's use up this a little bit first. They're doing something. It's like they're creating like an archaeology backpack or something like that. But because I know a bit about archaeology and I'm a historian or particularly older things, but I'm also obviously a fiber artist. And I guess I had some questions or something about textiles. So I'm gonna get to go meet with them next week and help them out. That should be fun. Unfortunately, it is a place that I can walk to if the van is not done yet. Because I told them it would be really nice if it was done by Friday so I could go to this event in Des Moines. But who knows what's going to happen. Let's put the rose on first. Except this part is mostly white. So if you're watching, you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Okay. I have not been able to see comments in the waffle group for a very long time. I can see them on the page, but I can't see them in the group. But I will go back and read any comments at the end. And if, once I'm done with this, I download it and then upload it completely unedited to YouTube. But if you're watching on YouTube and you have a question, I get a notification for that too. So, okay. So far there is no fiber in the tea. Very happy about that. And it is now the temperature that is perfect. I'm going to be taking big slugs of that in between layers. So I will be in the waffle sale at the end of the month, Black Friday. Actually, on Black Friday, I am at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central, 1 Mountain, noon Pacific. And then I will immediately contact people who have bought stuff, and then load up my car and head out to very eastern Iowa, where I have Friendsgiving. We're not meeting on Thanksgiving. We meet the weekends. It's my group of best friends from grad school. And so we get together. One of them provides the house. Another one of us cooks. And I'm sort of sous chef, and I do some of the cooking. I don't take charge of the main, and the friends who have the house buy the main. Because they have good steady jobs. I usually bring a vegetable because I'm like the only one concerned about vegetables. A few of them will eat the vegetables because they know they're good for them. But I don't really cook them. And there's some of them for whom potatoes are like the only vegetable worth anything. And I freely admit that my potato gene is very tiny or almost non-existent. Like, I could go a year without eating a potato and I wouldn't notice. Like, French fries are not something I crave. Occasionally potato chips, but actually, I'm not allowed to eat potato chips anymore. The loss of the gallbladder quite some time ago was coming back with a vengeance. And so potato chips in my body no longer communicate. I will also eat the whole bag at once. So I just don't buy them. Trying to get it's hard with top to feel how thick, because it looks like, oh, I've still got a lot of room. But, we're on what, our fourth layer, fifth? I've lost count. And it still feels like there's lots of room. And that's because there's no air making that wool fluffy. It's very compact. It's like this bag. Let's see if I can find the bag. Well, I actually don't know if this is the bag that came in, because this says 14.9 ounces. And that could be. I don't know. So this may end up being a very weighty bat. I'm trying to see. Yeah, there's still room. We will finish this layer and we'll do one more and that will be it. It's just so hard to tell. Okay, let's see. You are that. Just the other ones of this one. Itchy nose. Okay, so I've got just this left. So I'm just going to put a little bit here, and we'll save the rest for the last layer. My hands. Okay, now we get the purple. I do like the purple. This particular silk is mulberry silk. Got it from Frivolous You. She does these cute little braids. So I actually had a show with her in the late spring for about a ton of braids. And I have in the past sort of said, okay, so, here's $50. Give me a selection of braids. She's just the next state over. Okay, that is sticking up a lot. Let's pull that up. A little bit of bamboo when I did that. So the other issue, going back to the teaching the drum carding classes, is, as I said, I've got the smaller number of carders, and I'm used to teaching these smaller classes, but at festivals, they usually they have a minimum class size, which is sometimes like 10 or 12. Which, as a former professor, those are not ideal numbers. I mean, 12 is sort of okay. But, like, you know, some of them, they want 20. I'm like, that's, for a hands-on skill, that's not even great for a classroom. And whenever I did larger classes, you know, I have taught a class of 500 students. But those are lectures. Like, there's very little interaction. In fact, I was on a stage. Let me tell you, the day the PowerPoint broke, that was interesting. It was the lecture on Sparta. Okay, I feel like I have something sticking up. I think it's just extra fiber. Okay, so this is our last layer. I'm going to start thinking about how much we think this weighs, and then put that number in the comments. I think it's going to be heavy, but, like, let me qualify that. Sebastian usually holds about between 2 and 3 ounces. However, the largest bat he's ever had is, I think, 3.8 or 3.9. It's not under 2 ounces, that I know. And I think between adding each item, I will press down with the doffer brush. Okay, that. Let's do greens. Yeah, stuff's not going in very much more, so it is full. In fact, it may be hard to get off. Okay, so I've got that much left, so that's enough for a second bat. I hate when I'm planning on making 2 bats, but I have, like, 1 ingredient that runs out in the first bat, so I can't call them the same thing because they have the same thing in them. Okay. Let's do purple. Definitely want to press that down. Oops. There we do have a little bit that's migrating. Okay, so you can find that little bitty bit. There it is. That darker color. Now I do have a little section here that looks like it was maybe, when she does the braids, there's this little sort of knot that she uses. I'm going to try and pull out. Start with this. There we go. Rose fiber, so soft. And then the sari silk. Use a little bit more on this side for this last, because when I fluff it out, it will not be as close together. I just like this little tweedy effect that you get from using the sari silk. Okay, there we go. That is Victorian Garden. So let me just push this here, this here. No fiber in the tea, yay. scale is out on my landing because I was going to weigh it back before I spun it. Okay, so I will be still guess the weight. I will obviously be taking a photo of this once I've fluffed it and folded it. And when I do that, I will also post the weight, since I can't. I'd have to climb over the tripod, and I'd probably hurt myself. So we're not going to do that. So right now I'm just breaking the bat. Still guess how much you think this weighs. And whoever's closer wins trophy emojis and bragging rights. Shiny little bits from the silk and the rose. Okay, and I'm going to come back and press this left-hand side. You are watching reversed because you are on an Android phone, so everything is backwards, which is why that number I showed you earlier on that bag probably looked kind of funny. Okay, and then we're going to grab this. Top usually comes off much easier than roving because it's all straight and aligned. Okay, here we go. Very sort of subtle colors, lots of sort of pinks, the greens, lighter and darker tones. It's always good. It's nice when you can have like, you know, 2 greens, 2 pinks, and so forth. Okay, so I will take a photo of this. I'm just going to fold it in half for now and place it there, not in the T. Thank you very much for tuning in. As I said, I will post, take some photos. I'll do the fluff and fold, the fluff, fold, and roll, which is the 3 steps I do. And then I'll weigh it. I'll take some photos and I'll post it. And so I will then check how much it weighs against how much you've guessed that it weighs. So, okay. So tune in next week as well. I'll be doing another bat. Always Wednesday mornings, unless you're in a different time zone, I guess. If you're watching me in Newfoundland, it's beyond noon. So, okay, take care, and I will see you around on social media.